AITA for refusing to babysit my niece after my sister tried to pay me in a way that shocked me. I'm a 20 female college student trying to juggle what feels like 1,000 things at once. Between classes, work, assignments, and, figuring out what I'm doing with my life, I barely have time to breathe, let alone take on extra responsibilities. My sister, Amanda, 28 female, has a 3-year-old daughter, Lily, who's absolutely adorable but also an unrelenting ball of energy. Think, mini tornado in sparkly shoes. I love my niece to pieces, but I'll admit I'm not exactly the fun aunt who's always down to babysit type. I've always made that clear to Amanda, and for the most part, she's respected that. That said, Amanda has been going through a rough patch lately. She's a single mom trying to manage everything on her own, and I honestly don't know how she does it. Parenting looks exhausting, and while I admire her, I've always felt like babysitting isn't my responsibility. I have my own life to manage, and I'm stretched thin as it is. A few days ago, Amanda texted me asking if I could watch Lily for a few hours. She didn't give me a lot of details, just said she needed some time to run errands. I told her no, politely but firmly. I explained that I was super busy with school and work and couldn't spare the time. She seemed a little annoyed but let it go, so I thought that was the end of it. Fast forward to yesterday, Amanda calls me, and as soon as I pick up, I can tell she's in one of those "I really need something from you" moods. She starts with small talk: how's school, how's work, how's life, but I can tell she's buttering me up for something. Sure enough, after a few minutes, she gets to the point. So, I really need you to watch Lily for a few hours tomorrow. I have this thing, and I can't bring her with me. I felt bad saying no again, but I reminded her that I'm super busy. I had a shift at work, a paper due, and a mountain of reading to catch up on. Amanda didn't seem to care. She was like, "It's just a few hours. You're so good with Lily, and she loves spending time with you." I'll admit, that made me feel a little guilty. Lily does love hanging out with me, and I know Amanda doesn't ask for help often. But still, I've always been upfront about not wanting to babysit, and I didn't think I should have to drop everything just because she needed a favor. That's when Amanda said the magic words, "I'll pay you." Now, I'll be honest, my ears perked up a little at that. Money's tight, and while I don't particularly enjoy babysitting, I figured if the pay was decent, maybe I could make it work, so I asked her how much she was offering. There was a pause on the other end of the line, and then Amanda said, "I was thinking I could pay you in Chick-fil-A gift cards." At first, I thought she was joking. Like, surely this was some kind of weird, elaborate joke, but no, she was completely serious. She starts explaining how she has a couple of $25 Chick-fil-A gift cards lying around and thought they'd be a great way to pay me for my time. She even tried to sell me on the idea, saying, "You love Chick-fil-A, it's basically the same as cash." I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I mean, sure, I like Chick-fil-A, but there's a huge difference between enjoying a chicken sandwich every now and then and being paid in fast food gift cards for several hours of unpaid labor. I tried to be polite, but I couldn't hide my disbelief. I told her that gift cards didn't really count as payment, and I'd need actual money if I were going to babysit. That's when the conversation took a turn. Amanda got defensive. She started going on about how she thought I'd appreciate the gesture and how she was doing her best as a single mom. She said I was being selfish and ungrateful, and that families should help each other out without expecting anything in return. I reminded her that if that were true, she wouldn't be trying to pay me in gift cards in the first place. I also pointed out that my time is valuable and that I can't just drop everything to babysit for free or for the equivalent of a chicken sandwich and waffle fries. At that point, Amanda completely lost it. She accused me of making her life harder and said I was being unsupportive. She said, "It's not like I'm asking you to do this every day. I just need a few hours. Why are you making such a big deal out of this?" I tried to explain that it wasn't about the frequency, it was about the principle. I'm busy, I'm tired, and if she's going to offer to pay me, it needs to be in actual money, not fast food gift cards. We ended the conversation on a pretty bad note. Amanda said something about how I'm lucky to not have any real responsibilities yet and that I don't understand how hard it is to be a single mom. I didn't even know how to respond to that, so I just told her I was sorry she felt that way and hung up. Now, Amanda isn't speaking to me, and I feel like the bad guy. I get that she's stressed and probably just needs a break, but I don't think it's fair for her to guilt-trip me into babysitting, especially when I've made it clear that I'm not interested. And honestly, the whole gift card payment thing still blows my mind. Who thinks that's a reasonable offer? Babysitting a toddler isn't easy, it's exhausting, mentally and physically, and I feel like she's completely undervaluing my time and effort. But now I'm starting to second-guess myself. Maybe I should have just sucked it up and helped her out. Maybe I am being selfish for not stepping up when she clearly needed me. I don't know. I feel like I'm stuck between wanting to support my sister and feeling like my boundaries and time aren't being respected. So, Reddit, am I the asshole for refusing to babysit my niece and calling out Amanda for trying to pay me in Chick-fil-A gift cards? Update 1. A few days passed after our last awkward and frustrating conversation, and Amanda and I weren't exactly on speaking terms. Honestly, I was fine with the silence. I felt like I had drawn a clear boundary, and while I hated that she was upset, I figured we'd both move on eventually. I didn't expect her to reach out again so soon, especially not after how angry she seemed the last time we talked. But, as it turns out, Amanda isn't the type to let something go quietly. One afternoon, out of nowhere, I got a text from her. It wasn't anything dramatic, just a casual "Hey, what's up?" I was immediately suspicious because, well, this wasn't how she usually approached me. It felt way too friendly for someone who, just a few days ago, accused me of being selfish and unsupportive. But I tried to give her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe she wanted to apologize, or maybe she just wanted to move past the whole babysitting debacle. I decided to play along, keeping the conversation light and neutral. We chatted for a little bit, and just as I started to let my guard down, she dropped it on me. "So, I was wondering if you could watch Lily for a bit this weekend." My stomach sank. Here we go again. I couldn't believe she was asking me again after everything that had happened. I was genuinely surprised she even wanted to talk to me, let alone ask for another favor. For a split second, I thought about saying yes just to avoid the inevitable drama, but I couldn't do it. I reminded her that I was still super busy and didn't have the time or energy to babysit. Amanda, of course, wasn't ready to take no for an answer. This time, she came prepared with what I can only assume she thought was a brilliant new offer. She said, "Okay, how about I give you a couple of bags of your favorite candy? And I'll stop eating your snacks behind your back for a whole month." I froze for a second, trying to process what I had just heard. A couple of bags of candy, a promise not to eat my snacks. Was this supposed to be some kind of elaborate bribe, or had she just run out of ideas entirely? And, more importantly, was she actually admitting right there, mid-negotiation, that she had been stealing my snacks all along? It was one of those moments where you're so stunned by the sheer ridiculousness of what someone says that you almost don't know how to respond. I mean, how do you even begin to unpack that? Here she was, trying to convince me to give up several hours of my time, energy, and sanity by offering me what essentially boiled down to some candy and the absence of a theft she shouldn't have been committing in the first place. All I could think was, does she really think this is a fair trade? Is this supposed to be the big incentive that changes my mind? And honestly, the part about the snacks was just the icing on the cake. It was one thing to offer candy as payment, absurd enough on its own, but to casually throw in a promise to stop stealing my food, as if she were doing me some sort of favor, felt almost insulting. The audacity of the whole thing was almost laughable. Did she really think this was the kind of offer that would make me drop everything and agree to watch her toddler for hours? Wrangling a 3-year-old is not a job for the faint of heart. It's exhausting, mentally and physically. Lily is sweet and funny, sure, but she's also at that stage where everything is a game, every rule is meant to be tested, and silence usually means she's found something she's not supposed to touch. Babysitting her isn't just sitting on the couch and keeping an eye on her. It's a full-blown workout, complete with cleaning up glitter explosions and making sure she doesn't try to cook in the microwave again. And Amanda thought the appropriate compensation for that was candy and a temporary truce over stolen snacks. I couldn't help but feel like she wasn't just undervaluing my time, she was trivializing it. It wasn't even about the candy or the snacks at that point. It was about the principle. The fact that she thought such a flimsy offer was reasonable told me exactly how little she understood or cared about the position she was putting me in. I get that she's stressed, and I know she needs a break, but how was it fair to make her stress my problem? How was it fair to expect me to drop my responsibilities, rearrange my schedule, and deal with the chaos of babysitting, all for a couple of candy bars and an empty promise? It felt like she wasn't seeing me as a person with my own life and challenges, but as some sort of convenient solution to her problems. And yet, as absurd as it all was, I still felt a pang of guilt. Not because I thought I was wrong, I didn't, but because I could see how desperate Amanda was. She clearly needed a break, and it was obvious that she was grasping at straws to try to get me to help her. I hated that I couldn't or wouldn't step in and make her life a little easier. But at the same time, I couldn't shake the feeling that she was taking advantage of me. It wasn't like this was a one-time thing. Amanda had a habit of asking for favors and then acting like I was the bad guy if I dared to say no. I've always tried to support her in other ways, helping with errands, picking up groceries, spending time with Lily when it fits into my schedule, but this just felt like too much. So, after taking a deep breath and trying to push the guilt aside, I said no. Again. And as I sat there, waiting for the inevitable fallout, all I could think about was how ridiculous the whole situation had become. A couple of bags of candy and a snack truce, really. The audacity would have been almost impressive if it weren't so exhausting. Well, Amanda did not take it well. Within minutes of hanging up, she was texting me a barrage of messages about how I was ruining family bonds and how I was too busy for her and Lily. She accused me of prioritizing everything and everyone else over my family, and said I was acting like I was too good to help out. She even threw in a comment about how I wouldn't understand what it's like to be a parent because my life is so easy. That one stung, but I didn't respond. I didn't want to get into another fight, and honestly, I didn't think anything I said would change her mind. Unfortunately, it didn't stop there. Amanda must have been venting to other family members because I started getting texts from them too. My mom, my aunt, and even a cousin chimed in, all telling me I should just suck it up and help Amanda out. The general consensus seemed to be that families should always be there for each other, no matter what. My mom even said, "It's only a few hours. You don't know how much this could mean to Amanda and Lily." I get it. I really do. But what nobody seems to understand is that I'm not just sitting around twiddling my thumbs all day. My schedule is packed, and I barely have time for myself, let alone time to take on additional responsibilities. And even if I did have the time, I don't think it's fair for Amanda or anyone else, for that matter, to guilt-trip me into doing something I've made it clear I'm not comfortable with. The whole thing has left me feeling completely drained. On one hand, I feel like I'm being painted as this heartless villain who doesn't care about her family. On the other hand, I feel like I'm being manipulated into sacrificing my time and energy for something I've explicitly said I don't want to do. It's like no matter what I say or do, I can't win. If I give in, I'll resent Amanda for pushing me into it. If I stand my ground, I'll continue to be labeled as the selfish and grateful sister who's too busy for her family. And the thing that gets me the most is how little anyone seems to value my boundaries. I've always tried to be supportive in other ways, whether it's helping Amanda out with errands, spending time with Lily when it's convenient for me, or just being there to listen when Amanda needs to vent. But none of that seems to matter now because I've dared to say no to babysitting. It's like my worth as a sister and an aunt is being measured solely by my willingness to drop everything and watch Lily at a moment's notice. I don't know, maybe I am being too stubborn. Maybe I should just suck it up and help Amanda out for the sake of family bonds. But at the same time, I feel like I deserve to have my boundaries respected. I shouldn't have to accept candy and gift cards as payment for my time, and I shouldn't have to deal with the guilt-tripping and passive-aggressive comments just because I'm not willing to babysit. At this point, I'm exhausted, frustrated, and honestly kind of hurt. Am I really the bad guy here, or is Amanda and the rest of my family asking too much of me? Update 2. A few days later, just when I thought Amanda might finally have given up, she came back again with yet another request for me to watch Lily. At this point, I wasn't even surprised anymore. If nothing else, Amanda is persistent. I could feel the tension building the moment I saw her name pop up on my phone. Her messages always had that tone, like she was trying to act casual while clearly preparing to ask for something. Sure enough, after a few pleasantries, she got to the point. She needed me to babysit Lily, and she hoped I would finally say yes. I felt a wave of frustration wash over me. I'd already told her no several times, and each time, it felt like my boundaries were being ignored. I reminded her that I had already refused multiple times and that my answer was still no. I thought that would be the end of it, but Amanda, in true Amanda fashion, told me not to rush to a decision just yet. She had a new offer, and this time, it wasn't candy or gift cards. She said she was willing to pay me $100 for watching Lily. That caught me off guard. After all the ridiculous offers Amanda had made in the past, this was the first time she'd come up with something that actually seemed reasonable. $100 was a decent amount, especially for a few hours of babysitting. I wasn't exactly swimming in disposable income, and while I still wasn't thrilled about chasing Lily around for an afternoon, the offer was tempting. For a moment, I considered saying yes without hesitation. But then I remembered all our previous conversations, the gift cards, the candy, the promise not to eat my snacks, and I couldn't help but feel wary. Amanda's track record didn't exactly inspire confidence. I told her that if she wanted me to babysit, she'd need to pay me upfront, at least partially. It wasn't that I thought she wouldn't pay eventually, but after everything that had happened, I didn't feel I could trust her completely. She'd already undervalued my time and effort multiple times, and let's not forget she admitted to stealing my snacks. Asking for partial payment upfront didn't seem unreasonable to me. If she was serious about the offer, she could put her money where her mouth was. Amanda didn't take kindly to that suggestion. She insisted she'd only pay the full $100 after I watched Lily. I stood my ground and explained that after everything we'd been through, I wasn't willing to babysit without some kind of guarantee. I even proposed a compromise. She could pay me $50 upfront, and the remaining $50 after I finished babysitting. That way, we'd both have some security in the arrangement. But Amanda wasn't having it. She flat out refused, insisting that payment would only come after the fact. Frustrated, I told her that if she wasn't willing to meet me halfway, I wasn't going to watch Lily. I was tired of being put in this position, tired of the constant back and forth, and tired of feeling like my time and boundaries didn't matter. That's when Amanda completely lost it. She accused me of being mercenary, saying I cared more about money than helping my family. She called me selfish and heartless for refusing to help her unless I got paid, and claimed I was prioritizing my own convenience over family values. She even threw in a jab about how I was too young and immature to understand what it means to support someone who's struggling. The whole thing felt completely unfair. Amanda was the one who brought up payment in the first place. She was the one who turned babysitting into a negotiation with all her offers. And yet, when I tried to set reasonable terms, suddenly I was the bad guy. I couldn't wrap my head around how she managed to twist the situation to make me look selfish. I wanted to remind her of all the times I had helped her in the past without expecting anything in return, like running errands for her, picking up groceries, or just being there to listen when she needed to vent. I wanted to point out that I had every right to say no to babysitting, especially when it was clear she wasn't valuing my time or effort. But I didn't say any of that. I was too exhausted to argue. Instead, I let her rant. I let her call me mercantile and selfish and whatever else she needed to say to make herself feel better. But deep down, I knew I wasn't in the wrong. I have my own life to manage, my own responsibilities, and my own limits. I'm not a built-in babysitter, and I shouldn't be made to feel guilty for setting boundaries. If Amanda can't respect that, then that's on her, not me. Now, the tension between us is worse than ever. Amanda isn't speaking to me, and when she does, it's usually to throw passive-aggressive comments my way. She's clearly told other family members about the situation because I've been getting texts from them too. Most of them seem to think I'm being unreasonable, saying things like, "It's just a few hours. Why are you making such a big deal about this?" Or "Amanda needs help, and you're in a position to give it. Why won't you just step up?" But what nobody seems to understand is that it's not just about babysitting, it's about respect. Amanda has ignored my boundaries time and time again, and when I finally agreed to consider her offer, she refused to meet me halfway. It's not fair for her or anyone else to expect me to keep sacrificing my time and energy just because we're family. I know this probably won't be the last time Amanda asks me to babysit, and honestly, I don't know how I'll handle it when it inevitably happens again. But for now, I'm standing my ground. If that makes me the villain, so be it. At least I know I'm doing what's right for me.